A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Krishan Devasagayam.
And I'm Jithini Gunasena. Let's start off with the headlines.
No confidence submitted against Minister Ravi Karunanayake by the joint opposition. Aloysius and associates warned not to tamper with his Apple account or face criminal proceedings. Former chairman of the Rambayava Pradesh Sabha sentenced to 5 years jail term for obtaining a bribe. Civil society's alleged government is delaying elections until 2019.
The ceremonial presentation of credentials to the chief prelate of the Sri Lanka Amarapura Mahasangha Council, Agamaha Pandit the Most Venerable Kottakotta Dhammavasathera, was held today.
The event was held at Independence Square in Colombo with the participation of President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. In our society, whenever there is inequality or disunity, when problems arise in our personal lives, as Buddhists, we all know that there are solutions to these problems in the Dhamma. In the history of our country, whenever rulers, nobles or the citizens have faced challenges and crises, the Mahasangha have always offered their guidance and advice.
In a headline-making story this evening, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the issuance of treasury bonds issued 2 orders on Arjun Aloysius today. Newsfirst Zulfik Farzan reports on the bond gate.
An order was issued on Arjun Aloysius prohibiting him from tampering with or altering in any manner the data in the Apple ID or Apple account. The order prohibits his agents or others acting on his behalf from doing so. The Commission says it appropriate to refer to the provisions in the Penal Code with the Commissions of Inquiry Act, which makes causing the destruction, secreting or obliteration or rendering illegible of documents including data which are produced as evidence and preventing such documents and data before the Commission an offence punishable with a term of imprisonment. Arjun Aloysius is warned that any act on his part which attempts to or commits one or more of the aforesaid offences may result in the commission of an offence and the institution of appropriate criminal proceedings against him. The Commission issued an order on the CEO of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Kasun Palisena, to hand over his mobile phone and laptop to the Secretary of the Commission. The Commission added all files and material created after the 27th of January 2017, which are to be deleted based on attorney-client privilege, must be done in the presence of a representative nominated by Kasun Palisena at the Commission premises. In addition, a list of the files deleted must be recorded and an affidavit must be filed. An attorney representing Steve Samuel, the personal assistant to the chairman of the Perpetual Group, says he is willing to comply with the order issued to hand over the mobile phone and other communication devices. The Commission informed the attorney defying the order would result in consequences for his client. Counsel for former Governor Arjuna Mahendran questioned the authenticity of the forensic evidence from Arjun Aloysius' mobile phone put forward to Minister Ravi Karunanayake yesterday. He requested for the forensic expert to be called before the Commission and be questioned. Senior Additional Solicitor General Dapula D. Livera said the respective evidence will be produced in a proper manner and in due course and will be proven. The evidence was led yesterday to confront the Minister to seek an admission. Today's witness, Assistant Governor of the Central Bank Ananda Jailath, said the process of delivering EPF daily reports to the Governor is not mentioned in the guideline. Counsel for Mahendran pointed out that it is normal management procedure at any organization. The witness testified that his subordinates in the EPF had complained about the conduct of Saman Kumara on a number of occasions. When he complained to former Governor Arjuna Mahendran about Kumara, the Governor had asked for proof. The witness said he did not have proof but had serious concerns about Saman Kumara. It came to light before the Commission that the witness who gave evidence today has received a letter seeking explanation on certain points that have been raised as concerns by the Central Bank in relation to his conduct at the Employees Provident Fund. He said that he had given responses to these points that were raised and the investigation or the inquiry on this matter is still ongoing. The witness noted that only a reliable person must be placed as dealer in the EPF, and Saman Kumara was not reliable.
Now, in other headline-making news, a group of parliamentarians of the joint opposition submitted a motion of no confidence against Foreign Minister Ravi Karunanayake today.
The motion, which was signed by 32 MPs, was handed over to Deputy Secretary-General of Parliament, Neil Idavella, by a group including MP Bandulu Gunawardana. The motion states that Parliament has lost its confidence in Minister Ravi Karunanayake for the violation of the Money Laundering Act and Financial Transactions Reporting Act, actively contributing to safeguard Arjun Aloysius, enjoying unjust enrichment and taking part in large-scale financial transactions. MPs of the joint opposition proposes the immediate resignation of Ravi Karunanayake from all ministerial portfolios, as his continuity as minister would be harmful to the credibility of the national economy. We hope that everyone in the United National Party, the Podujana Perumana and everyone representing Parliament who are against fraud and corruption will endorse this no-confidence motion. The entire nation saw the evidence he gave before the Bond Commission yesterday. He said two important things while leaving the commission. One was to be careful of those around you. That was for Minister Malik Samaravikrama. We hope that everyone in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party will stick together and vote in favour of this no-confidence motion when it is tabled in Parliament. The JVP has already said it would vote in favour of this.
MPs of the joint opposition handed in the motion of no confidence after attending the wedding reception of MP Kehelia Rambukwella's son. A group of parliamentarians, including Rohita Abegunawardana, had been invited for the ceremony.
Come again.
If you cannot remember certain key things in your life, that is a mental illness called dementia. They are all infected. Let's talk on another day. You said just one question. For God's sake, ask these matters from them when you meet them. There are several people in this government who have allegations against them. That is true. We have a democratic right to say that as well. We must understand one thing though. When there are allegations against the government, there are investigations that are being held within the government itself. There were similar allegations during the term of the former government, but there have been no investigations. The people who elected this government have the right to reprimand and criticize the government. The people have a right to criticize the government. Anti-corruption activists have stated that there are several other parties that should be investigated in the matter of the alleged bond scam.
A meeting that is believed to have led to the serious allegations of fraud in the alleged bond scam was held on the 26th of February 2015. According to a press release issued by the Ministry of Policy Planning and Economic Affairs on the 6th of March 2015, the government had decided to raise urgent funds of 15 billion rupees to recommence stalled expressway projects. The meeting was attended by the then Finance Minister, the Minister of Investment Promotion and Higher Education, the Treasury Secretary, the Governor of the Central Bank and Malik Samaravikrama. Incidentally, at the time, Samaravikrama was the chairman of the UNP and was not a public representative elected by the people, nor did he hold any official position in the government. Responding to inquiries from Newsfirst at the time, Samaravikrama confirmed that he was present at this meeting.
Ravi Karunanayake, Malik Samaravikrama.
It was revealed before COPE that Ravi Karunanayake, Malik Samaravikrama, Kabir Hashim, the Governor of the Central Bank and the Treasury Secretary were present at this meeting. All of them are now major characters in the bond scam. We firmly believe that former UNP Chairman Malik Samaravikrama, the current UNP General Secretary and Kabir Hashim should be summoned before the Commission of Inquiry. This process should not single out any individual.
සිදු නොවිය යුතුව තිබෙනවා. පෙබරවාරි 27 වෙනි දින පවත්.
This meeting was held on the day prior to the February 27th bond issue at the central bank with the participation of 2 ministers and Malik Samaravikrama, who held no official position but only a political position. Since there is a doubt in society today as to whether this meeting was truly held to confirm an urgent need for funding, all of those present at the meeting should be questioned on the true purpose. This is a question we are posing on behalf of the people. Malik Samaravikrama is behind everything related to the bond transaction. Malik Samaravikrama is also behind every privatization enterprise of this government. Malik Samaravikrama is the main agent in Ranil Wickremesinghe's scheme. Ravi Karunanayake is not innocent, but these individuals have no right to claim innocence. Minister Malik Samaravikrama must be brought before the commission. Considering the facts, there are serious questions regarding the names that have been mentioned. I believe the President and the Prime Minister must immediately take a decision to safeguard the reputation of the party and the government. The people will be incited. No confidence motions will be submitted. Problems will arise within the parties. Problems will arise within the governments. So these matters must be carefully considered and a decision must be taken. I believe that this is the responsibility of the President and the Prime Minister.
The News First national campaign, Sri Lanka Free Against Corruption, continues to travel the length and breadth of the country to hear the views of the general public.
Back then, a person with a mask on could be identified as a thief. Today, you cannot because the thieves are in suits and ties. They will do anything for a bag of money.
During today's journey for a corruption-free country, our team met this community in the premises of the Hambantota Fisheries Harbour. They charge that those involved in large-scale fraud and corruption in the country are the cause for the downfall in the fisheries industry.
They said they would provide a sum of 10,000 rupees as drought relief for 4 months. Not a single cent has been given up to now.
Our teams toured the Suryavava, Mahaindivava and Bolghavava areas which are under the constant threat of wild elephants.
This government is spending millions for just one building but are not spending a single thought for the farmers. In time to come, we may have to eat rice at 150 rupees a kilo. There is no relief whatsoever. They think only about their families. They have no use for us.
Another News First team toured the Kilinochchi district where they visited the Palay, Kanandai, Muhamale, Paravipanjan and Rattinapuram areas to create awareness among the locals.
There is fraud inside and outside politics. We condemn this. There is fraud no matter where you look. Whatever assistance we get in the north and east should be free of fraud. We can move forward as a good nation if this government at least prevents corruption.
Paravipanjan is an area where many families who have dark memories of the war have been relocated.
There is nothing but corruption in this country. All you see on TV and radio are reports about corruption.
In more local news, the Colombo High Court sentenced the former chairman of the Rambaiva Pradeshya Sabha, Ranil Madhava Kamal Nilame, to 5 years in prison on charges of bribery.
Ranil Madhava Kamal Nilame was proven guilty by the High Court of 3 charges including soliciting a bribe of 100,000 rupees from a youth promising him a job in Korea. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption had filed the case against Ranil Madhava, who obtained the bribe in 2007. The High Court judge also imposed a fine of 40,000 rupees against the former Pradeshi Sabha chairman in addition to the jail term.
Civil society activists have stated the law must be enforced against individuals who attempted to implement an illegal national payment platform.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka is the only institution in the country mandated to regulate payments and settlements. These powers have been vested in the CBSL by the Monetary Law Act No. 58 of 1949 and the Payment and Settlement Systems Act No. 28 of 2005. However, disregarding these provisions, the CEO of the Information and Communication Technology Agency, or ICTA, Muhundan Kanage, attempted to implement a national payment platform via the company Total Pay. While the central bank's regulatory powers were accepted when the proposal was presented to Cabinet, the CBSL was completely disregarded in the recommendations put forward by an ad hoc committee. In a letter dated the 8th of July 2016 regarding this illegal endeavour, Central Bank Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy informed then Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake that the regulatory powers of the central bank had been ignored completely. In the letter, the government noted that all payment systems should be under supervisory and the regulatory role of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Ignoring the concerns raised, Muhundan Kanage conferred the right to the Total Pay company to carry out the task of digital consultancy. When Newsfirst submitted a request under the Right to Information Act seeking the salary particulars of the ICTA CEO, the Secretary of the Ministry of Telecommunications, Vasanta Deshapriya, denied our request. However, Newsfirst revealed yesterday that according to his employment contract, Kanage receives a wage of 755,000 rupees a month. This is in addition to his fuel and vehicle allowances, bonuses and insurance cover. As per his contract, the minimum number of days he should report to work is 3. If it is then estimated that Kanage works 12 days a month, his daily wage could be calculated as 62,916 rupees and 66 cents. Is the Ministry Secretary concealing this information because such a large sum of money is paid to the ICTA CEO?
ජාතික ගෙවීමේ පද්ධතියක්.
There was a major controversy recently regarding the introduction of a national payment platform. The problem arises because of the ICTA, an agency affiliated to the Telecommunications Ministry, and how they obtained approval to implement a national payment platform via a private company in violation of the law. There is a dire need to uncover whose power and influence was used in this attempt. On behalf of the people, we call on the government to investigate this.
අපි ජනතාවගේ වෙනුවෙන් මේ කාරණය සොයා බලන ලෙසට රජයට බල කර සිටිනවා.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka held key policy interest rates unchanged today, despite an IMF advisory last month which said that further monetary policy tightening is desirable in Sri Lanka to curb excess credit growth, which has been decelerating in recent months.
The Monetary Board decided to maintain the standing deposit facility rate at 7.25%, the standing lending facility rate at 8.75%, and the statutory reserve ratio at 7.5%. Holding rates steady is seen as a balancing act between supporting flood-hit economy and keeping a check on inflation. Since December 2015, the central bank has tightened monetary policy 4 times to keep pressure off the fragile rupee, which has been depreciating against the US dollar. When asked whether there would be further monetary policy tightening on the advice of the IMF, the governor said,
if one sees significant slippage on the fiscal side, then it's up to the Monetary Board to consider tightening monetary policy. So that's what we need to watch carefully. At the moment, there is no need for that. We are at the peak of the interest rates. But market rates are coming down. I mean, though we have not done anything, though the Monetary Board has not done anything, you have seen market rates coming down significantly. You know, the IMF and we have different perceptions often. And we're not always wrong.
Hot on the heels of the press, journalists asked the governor whether the ongoing investigations by the Commission of Inquiry on the central bank bond issue could dampen investor confidence in Sri Lanka.
You know, I mean, the Deputy Governor and I went on a road show in March, ne?
But that was now, Governor, I'm talking of the latest dividend.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a story that's been out there for a long time. And I don't remember it ever being raised, was it? No, it wasn't raised at all. But I'd like to think that people who are trying to invest in Sri Lanka would understand that a lot of things have been done since then. You know, in terms of the government auction system, in terms of the operations of the EPF, we have put in lots of measures which have strengthened the operations of those markets. So, you know, if you're going to invest in Sri Lanka, you'll probably look more than at the newspaper headline. This is an ongoing process, right? So we don't know what's going to come of it. So I think till the process is over, it's difficult to comment on.
Rohan Masakorala, an economist and an expert in the shipping and logistics sector, had a different view.
Right decisions have to be taken by the leaders of this country, because otherwise it might lead into a long-term problem, which may be looked from outside as a country that cannot be trusted in doing business. That's not good.
You're watching Primetime News on News First. We'll be back after this short commercial break.
Welcome back to the news. Now, election monitoring bodies allege that the government is attempting to delay the local government elections.
Several election monitoring bodies called on the Minister of Local Government and Provincial Councils, Faisal Mustafa, today. The finger was pointed at me regarding the local government elections.
Let us leave aside the local government elections and talk about the provincial councils. What do you have to say?
The draft will be presented to Parliament soon. We have an idea to hold elections for all provincial councils on one day.
That is a good idea. We have been saying that in the past, but the tenure of the last provincial council ends on the 8th of October 2019. Do we have to wait until then?
The draft has been sent to Parliament and it will decide whether we need to wait until 2019 or whether it will be done before.
The voter is concerned by the fact that the local government election is delayed. This is going to be on top of that.
I have the same concern, but the person who is responsible is Basil Rajpaksa and I am being accused. Until it is challenged in Parliament and it is said that this is not so, the last day the President can stay in power is the 9th of December 2019. The term of the Uber Provincial Council will end on the 8th of October 2019. That is clear. If what they are trying is to postpone the election until then, they will not have elections to postpone thereafter. It is an open secret that they are postponing the election until the last possible date. The government is in a turmoil with regard to the bond scam. An atmosphere where the UNP and its allies cannot face an election has been created. As a result, the elections are delayed.
Postponement of local government elections, the plan now to hold all the provincial council elections on one day, leads us to the conclusion that the government seems to be more concerned about its political fortunes than it is about the democratic health and strength of the country. There might be many arguments in favour of holding all provincial council elections on one day. Why then wasn't it thought about when we got a constitutional amendment, the 19th Amendment? Why can't it be done after this round of provincial council elections? There is an inescapable conclusion that the overwhelming perception in the public at large is of a government afraid to face the electorate.
The 19th Amendment to the Constitution of Sri Lanka was passed by the 225 member of Sri Lankan Parliament with 215 voting in favour, 1 against, 1 abstained and 7 were absent on 28 April 2015. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Dr. Jayampatha Wickramaratne took the initiative in bringing the amendment forward.
A farmer commenced a hunger strike on top of the bus stop roof in Kalukale on the Polonnaruwa-Mahiyangane road this morning.
The farmer hailing from Kalukale, Dimulagala in Polonnaruwa launched this hunger strike, claiming that he has not been paid compensation for his crops that were decimated due to the drought. He says that he took this step on behalf of farmers who are facing a similar plight. The fields wilted as there was no water. They promised to pay 40,000 rupees to each farmer for the new year, but no one has received this money. Certain individuals have received it, maybe 10 or 15 people in each village. As a joint public coordinator, I have commenced this hunger strike until this money is paid.
Newsfirst has been consistently reporting on the prolonged drought affecting much of the dry zone in the country. Agrarian communities in several parts of the Anuradhapura district are suffering with no water to irrigate their fields and no water to drink.
All of the reservoirs supplying water to the Galnawa and Palagala administrative divisions in Anuradhapura have dried up. Other sources of water, including wells, are also drying up. In the face of the drought, both humans and wildlife have been forced to walk for miles to find water.
Even the animals don't have water. The drought has lasted 2 years now. The wells, the reservoirs and the waterways have dried up.
This drought is far more severe than the 7-year drought from 70 to 77. At least back then there were intermittent showers. The fields have remained dry and barren for 4 seasons now. The supplementary vegetable crops have also wilted away, leaving the people with no stable livelihood. Agrarian communities in many areas under the Mahavilachi administrative division who rely on paddy farming for their living have also been affected by the drought. Fields which have remained barren for 3 seasons serve now as a symbol of the people's plight.
My son has had enough of working as a hired labourer. There is no water, the reservoir has dried up and the children are suffering from hunger. Even if the government has deployed relief, we have received nothing. I have been suffering from thirst since morning. I was discharged from the hospital yesterday. Even the leaves are dead. All the coconut palms are dead. There is nothing to eat.
Time now for tonight's report from Action TV.
When the Education Minister of the North Central Province attempted to launch a lottery, allegedly to develop education in the province, he sought to use school children to sell lottery tickets. He was forced to abandon this ploy and was transferred as a Minister of Cooperatives. This was prior to the dawn of good governance. However, following the dawn of this good governance government, not only was the education portfolio returned to this minister, he was also named Chief Minister of the province, and the lottery scheme got underway again under the guise of developing education. While it was stated that school children would not be used to sell these raffle tickets, it is an open secret among all people in the Rajara region that school principals use school students to sell these tickets in order to meet their targets. Against a backdrop where the good governance government has implicitly approved of using school students to sell lottery tickets, a group of people with disabilities in the Anuradhapura district are now being forced to sell lottery tickets. These individuals are beneficiaries of an allowance paid to people with disabilities via the Department of Social Services.
When I went to collect the allowance, they gave me this card and asked me to collect money. I am a kidney patient. There aren't even 100 homes in our village for me to cross out all the boxes.
There are many people with special needs in our societies. Any civilized society is measured with the way in which they look after these most vulnerable people and make sure that their special needs are met. Instead, there are most corrupt, dishonest people who steal and use these innocent and vulnerable people to enrich themselves. And this is how they do it. These cards have already been distributed among 694 Grama Nilidhari divisions, with 4 cards being distributed to each division. While the card makes no mention of an organization or competent authority, if successful, a sum of more than 5.5 million rupees could be made through this apparent scam. The card reads that the funds raised will be equally used for 4 purposes. However, there is no proper or legal mechanism in Anuradhapura to carry out this task. The draw is to be held at the main government office in the district. Should the public officials in Anuradhapura who have sought to exploit people with special needs for something that for all intents and purposes appears to be a scam remain in the public service? Secretary to the President, this is over to you.
The procession to celebrate the Hindu Adivail festival in honour of Lord Muruga continued its journey from Trincomalee today. The procession is organised together with the MTV MBC Media Network.
The vehicular procession carrying a replica of the veil from Tiruchendur, a golden sphere of the deity, commenced following religious observances at the Kaliamman Kovil in Trincomalee. The colourful procession travelled via Kantale, Habarana and Damulla before reaching its final destination for the day, the Kadiresan Kovil in Kurunagala. The vehicular procession is scheduled to reach the Sri Sivasubramanya Kovil in Jintapete, Colombo on Friday. On Saturday, the procession will arrive at the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited head office in Breakbook Place, Colombo 2. Many religious programs and musical shows would be held on that day at the head office premises. A special puja will also be held to invoke blessings on students sitting for the Grade 5 scholarship examination this year.
Well, on that note, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. It was a pleasure having you with us.
For the Newsfirst team, I'm Jitendra Kanasena.
And I'm Prashant Devsagan. Take care. Good night.
Good night.